This is the three-part Hobbit story. Fred's uncle Bilbo Baines went on a big journey many years before The Lord of the Rings. This is what happened. In the first movie, we meet Bilbo Baggins when he is younger. Gandalf comes into his quiet, peaceful life and changes things. Tim, the Grey, is gathering a group for an adventure. Like any good hobbit, Bilbo doesn't want to go on adventures, but Kendall won't take no for an answer and drags him along anyway. Bilbo has 13 dwarves over for dinner, and they all eat food that Bilbo likes. Thorin Oakenshield is in charge of these dwarves, and they sing a cappella to tell the sad story of their long-lost home. Eeyore was a dwarf and his country, which was far away on the lonely mountain. It was a nice, happy place, and the dwarves who lived there were filthy rich, but keeping that much gold on you can get you in trouble. One day, a dragon came. Yes, SMG moved into the mountain and kicked out the dwarves. Since then, they have been on the run, so it's time for them to get their land back. But 13 dwarves can't kill a dragon by themselves. But they just found the key to the back door so they can sneak in and steal the Arkenstone, the super magical stone that will bring the dwarf groups together. For this task, they will need a skilled thief, which is where Bilbo Baines comes in. Hobbits are naturally sneaky, so he will be able to do the job well. Bilbo says no again, but when he wakes up the next day, he changes his mind. He plans to have an adventure. It sounds like fun. Soon, though, 3 trolls will catch them and eat our dwarves for dinner. Bilbo Baines is the one who talks them out of it by giving him different ways to cook dwarfs to buy time. As soon as the sun comes up, the trolls turn to stone. As Mordekquest, they all get magic swords, including the tiny sword Sting, which Bilbo would later give to Frodo. But now, another master comes to see us. Raga the Brown is his name. He's kind of a dreamer who loves nature, and he's looking into a narrow-maner who lives in dew. Radius, dude, this isn't written anywhere. I don't have time for this, but I can. Didn't you hear we're making this into 3 movies? So I guess I should look into it. Speaking of storylines that weren't in the book, our party's being chased by a big buff warg as part of the Defer. He had to fight Thor for a long time. This was actually the fight where Thorn took an open branch and used it as a shield. Got his name, Oakenshield's Thorn. Now the orcs are right behind him. Radagas uses his bunny rabbit sled to get him out of there. Okay, now, the dwarves reach Ardee, the city of the elves where Elrond lives. But the dwarves don't like elves, and they don't want his help, but they need it. He is the only one who can read the map and tell them where the secret door is. Only on the special day will you be able to see that. So, the trip goes on, but one night they sleep in a cave. That Woes has a trapdoor that leads down to the goblin city, where a big, fat goblin lives. Things don't look good until Blam Gandalf comes along. And then there's a big, exciting escape scene. They get out of there, but one person is left behind. Bilbo was taken away. Yes, Bilbo was split from the group right away. He fell into the deep depths, where he found but a bell. Yes, the one ring that would cause so much trouble later on. Bilbo puts it in his pocket for now, but the current owner of the ring is down here. Gollum is there. Now, Bilbo isn't much of a fighter, and Gollum hasn't had anyone to talk to in a long time. So they decide to play a riddle game. Bilbo has won. He will get out with the help of Gollum. Gollum will eat him if he doesn't win. So it's a lot of fun, riles in the dark. But when it's over, Bilbo can't come up with any more. He puts his hand in his pocket and says, "What's in here?" That's not a riddle at all. But Gollum lets it go, and he loses. But when he realizes it's the ring in his pocket, he's a real man. Now, as BBA is running away, he puts the ring on by mistake and finds out. This lets him in. He tries to sneak up on them, but Gollum is so weak. Bilbo doesn't want to kill him, so he lets Gollum live, which turned out to be the best thing for all of Middle-earth. So Bilbo finds the dwarfs and is like, "What do you mean? I've always been here." But now that Og has caught up with the dwarves, it's time for his great fight with Thorn, but this time Thorn is knocked out right away. So it's up to Bilbo Baines, a hobbit, to save him, but he doesn't have a chance. But he buys the Eagles enough time to get in. Yes, Gandalf has those people saved in his phone. So, the Eagles get our crew to safety. Goodbye. Please thank the Eagles. Too bad you weren't able to fly us just a little bit further. For you, the mountain is like a 30-minute trip. We walked for a month. The second movie is called The Desolation of Smaug. It starts with a big bear monster chasing after our doves. But it turned out to be a werebear named Behorn, who is kind of a... But now Gandalf has to leave because he has important wizard business to take care of. In short, he goes to check out this Neuromancer, who turns out to be Sauron himself, and he gets caught. Now, our doors have to go through the evil Mirkwood forest to get to us. They get lost, and even worse, there are a lot of big bugs in the area. But who is it that's coming to save him? Yes, you're right. It's Owsleg. This movie has him in it. Even so, the Mer-elves aren't nice. Our group is arrested for breaking the rules. And it turns out that Lego's dad is the elf who left the doors open when SM struck, so Thor dislikes him the most. Also, there is a female elf named Tario in this movie, and if you wanted to spend a lot of time on a romance between a dwarf elf and a dwarf elf, you're in luck. Now, though, Invisible Bilbo is here to help. He helps them get out of jail by putting them in wine barrels and sending them down the river. He will be stopped by the elves. What's this, though? It's not an attack by Ozzo. This bog is a different orc. So, that's the end of the epic barrel-riding river chase. He was famous for doing really cool stunts with Legos in Lord of the Rings, but in this movie, it's all CGI and he's just a video game character. In the end, the dwarves get away, but now a human has found them. The Bowman Master Archer didn't know that Lego was all about shooting, so he changes his name to Bard the Boatman and drives our dwarves to Lake Town. We don't need to get into the long story about the crooked mayor and his annoying helper. In short, Thorn is saying, hey, help us get to the mountain and we'll give you a piece of... So, the dwarves get to the lonely mountain at last. We have the key to the back door and the last look of the moon, so we can get in. So it's time for their Bilbo wagons to do some real larceny. This task should be easy, as long as you don't wake up the dragon, which Bilbo does right away. Again, Bilbo has to talk his way out of trouble by basically complimenting and smiling at this dragon. Hasn't had any guests in a long time. He's happy to talk for a while, but then he gets bored, and Bill just barely gets out of there. Even though the dwarfs are there to help him, they can't fight this thing. They pretty much have to run. And this place is a big mountain. They have been playing cat and mouse for about 30 minutes. Somehow makes meeting a dragon boring. Some of the Dwarf, though, stayed behind because Keely is very sick. He got hit with a poison shot from the Ark, but now his elf girlfriend is there to fix him with elf magic. And they fall in love even more. There is also Legolas. He fights bravely so that this movie will give him something to do. The dwarfs finally have a plan. Smaug is turned back on when they trick him with a fire-breathing dragon at the old furnaces. Then they tricked him into a trap where they let loose a flood of molten gold that buried SMG in their new, shiny floor. But, of course, that doesn't work. All it did was make SMG angry. And now he's tired of chasing dwarves around. He's gonna take his revenge on Lake. Oops, the last movie, The Battle of the Five Armies, is now playing. The first thing that happens is that a dragon attacks. Yeah, the only thing that can save Lake Town is our great shooter, who blocked the bowman. It turns out that his grandfather was the one who first tried to hit Smaug with the magic shot, but everyone thought he missed. But it turned out that he hit Fog. He made a scale fall off. So now there's this one weakness, and he uses the magic shot, Bahu Slate, which is a dragon. So, with your mouth, beat the dwarves, give them back their home, and then go after Thor, rich enough to stink. But now that he's rich, Thorn is kind of turning into a big douchebag. And it's not just normal douchebaggery, it's a special kind of douchebaggery called dragon sickness. The people who survived Lightdown come in and say, hey man, you promised us some of the gold. But Thorn says, I'm not giving you any, not even one coin. Now the elves show up because Leg lost. His dad wants a special necklace in there, and he's ready to fight for it. Gandalf, on the other hand, is still in wizard jail. Who is going to get him out? Lady Galil is calling. Yes, she's going to be a main character in the new Amazon series The Rings of Power. And she's one of the best people in Middle-earth, but she's outnumbered by the Naswa. But now, Elrond himself and an evil storm on the White help her get back on her feet. So, there's that big fight scene with the most powerful characters in all of Lord of the Rings, which is cool but kind of feels like fan service. In the end, though, Sauron himself shows up, and Glad's got to go all dark side to play him and send his butt back to Mordor with his story. Done. GLF joins the show for free. And since we're talking about important stories, Bilbo found the Akin Stone, but this doesn't lead anywhere. But we are now ready for a big fight. It reminds me of 1,000 Elves. Verse 13. Thorn, who is a dwarf, is ready to fight him. But it's like, dude, what army are you in? Because now there is an army of dwarfs. Yeah, they heard that the dwarfs had taken the mountain back. I mean, yeah, we're here to help, after all. So, because of a mistake, these elves and dwarves are about to kill each other. When and what is it? As the army of Newark rolls up behind the Defer, the dwarfs and elves put their differences aside to fight the orcs together. Yeah, I don't want to tell him what to do, but if he had waited for about 20 minutes, his enemies would have killed him. And this is how the fight between the five forces starts. But it's not clear what the five forces are. The elves are led by Lilo's dad on a moose, and the dwarfs are led by this guy on a pig. There are also people who made it out of Lake Town. I wouldn't call them an army, though. All of them are facing the fourth army, which is made up of orcs led by an Og. I think the fifth army is made up of replacements or new troops that spend the whole fight on their way. So, an hour of CGI that was a mess. I later found out that the good guys were about to lose. But now Thorn is having a dream in which he gets over his dragon sickness. I'm sorry, but I've been a jerk. And he leads a rising charge of the dwarfs. Thorn goes for the one-on-one with Og, and our couple goes for the two-on-one with Bo. What is this, though? No one has killed Keely. The story doesn't end well for them. Gloss has to step in to finish him off. And of course he wins because the rules of physics no longer apply. Now that the battle is over, the York troops finally show up. But there will also be more good guys, because the eagles are coming, and having the upper hand in the air is a good thing. But as Og is about to beat Thor, Thor has no choice but to let him stab him so that he can stab him back. By the way, Bilbo Baggins was close, doing what he could to help, and he is now there to hear Thor's last words, which is sad. But the day is saved in the end. Bilbo has grown since his adventure, and he says goodbye to his best dwarf friends. It's there and back again until he gets back to the Shire, where he finds that all his stuff has been sold at auction because he was thought to be dead. And that is the end of the Hobbit trilogy.